Congratulations on your adoption of a sourdough starter. The following process has been perfected by my mother, who's been making this bread since 2005. It is a simplified version of a very tedious process introduced by Nancy Silverton, owner of the famous La Brea Bakery. This sourdough is unique in that it is made to create its own yeast. The only ingredients used to make the starter were flour, water, and grapes. At the point it becomes a loaf, the only additional ingredients are salt and a very small amount of olive oil. Please keep in mind, your sourdough is alive. If you do not feed it, it will die. In addition to watching this video, please also read over the text document, which includes additional information. Before getting started, there are a few things you will need to purchase. The text document will also include links to what I have found to be the most convenient options and also list alternatives. You will need a house for your sourdough, a long silicone spatula, a mixing bowl, 2 reusable shower caps, a 2-pack of Banneton bread baskets, or you can also use these mini baskets to make smaller loaves, a cookie pan for baking, and a spray bottle. Your starter needs to be fed at least 2 times per day. However, if you want a sweeter loaf, a third feeding will be necessary. When you're ready to feed your sourdough, dump 2 cups of starter out of the jar. These 2 cups can be either given away or discarded. Add to remaining starter 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water. Stir well and replace the towel covering. To bake the bread, complete your morning feeding as usual. After about 2 hours, pour 2 cups of starter into a mixing bowl. Feed your original starter again as usual. Baking days will require this third feeding 2 hours after your first, even if you usually only feed it twice a day. Add to your mixing bowl 2 cups of water and 2 cups of flour. Stir well and cover the bowl with a shower cap. Wait 20 minutes and then add 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of salt. Stir well. Add flour about a half a cup at a time, mixing between scoops. When the dough becomes too thick to stir, it's time to get messy. Sprinkle a solid layer of flour on your counter and dump the bread dough on top of it. Cover the lump of bread with a little more flour and begin to knead it into the bread. Continue adding flour and kneading until the dough loses most of its stickiness. At this point, raise your bread high in the air and throw it hard onto the countertop. Add additional flour if it feels sticky after throwing. Continue to throw it an additional 4 times, adding flour if needed if it stays sticky. Coat your mixing bowl with 3 tablespoons of olive oil and roll your bread around in the oil until it's coated. Then cover this with a shower cap. After 4 to 5 hours, remove the shower cap and punch the bread repeatedly. Squish it to remove air bubbles. Separate your dough into 2. Put flour in the base of your Banneton bread baskets and rotate to coat, then dump the excess flour and put half, 1 in each basket. Cover with shower caps, but leave space for the loaves to rise. After 1 or 2 hours, move your baskets to the refrigerator, preferably towards the bottom, or even in the cheese, meat, or vegetable bins. The next morning, pull out both baskets and remove the shower caps. If necessary, you can cover your bowls with a thin towel to prevent gnats or flies from landing on them. After 1 hour, set the oven to 400 degrees. Be sure that the cookie sheet is left in the oven so that it heats up. Using a water squirter, spray the sides of the pan about 5 times each to increase the humidity in the oven. Only 1 loaf can bake at a time, so remove additional racks and put the 1 remaining rack in the oven in a way that the loaf will be as centered as possible. When the oven is hot, plop 1 loaf out of the basket and onto the pan. Cook for about 30 minutes, though the larger loaves may take up to 40 minutes. Remove your first loaf and repeat the process for the second loaves. Let your loaves cool for at least 45 minutes before cutting them open.